You need to stop doing these things now if you want to level up and become your best self in 2025. The crazy thing is, you might not even realize that you've been doing these things. So often when we want to level up, when we want to enter that new chapter and new era of our lives, we immediately start looking to the future and what do I need to be doing more of? What do I need to be incorporating into my life? And while some of the girlies are really good at self-reflection, I feel like sometimes people don't really look at what they could be taking out of their habits and their daily routine. So we need to start with a little cleanse, a little, getting rid of the junk food of the mind and of our daily habits and routine. One of the main things that is holding you back from becoming the best version of yourself is talk with no action. If you are always talking about what you want to do, who you want to be, the goals you want to achieve, how you're gonna never drink again, how you're gonna start your diet tomorrow, but you are never following through with any of those things, not only is it really annoying for everyone else to listen to, but ultimately you are creating such a lack of self-trust for yourself. Most of the time when we don't trust ourselves, we second guess ourselves. We don't believe in ourselves. We don't believe that we deserve what we actually do deserve. We don't believe that we can go after what it is we actually want. It really is that deep. And a huge contributing factor to this is making promises to yourself and not, following through with them. This is reinforcing the idea to yourself, to your brain, words don't mean anything, that your wants, that your true desires and what you want out of your life doesn't really matter. It's not worth the effort of action or following through. You better stop this. Get in the habit of zipping your mouth. It's one thing to be in a bad mood, to have a frustrating day, to need to vent and rant, but there are healthy ways to process emotions and frustrations without breaking promises to yourself or creating these fake promises. Be a problem solver, not a problem haver. Another huge thing that is holding you back is being overly judgmental of other people, always wanting to tear other people down. One time I knew this girl and she would always talk about everything wrong in her life and everything that she wanted to change, and she was the type of person to not follow through on those things. And something else I noticed about her was that she always had a problem with any other girl, including me, which is why, I don't talk to that person anymore. She would always have something negative to say about anyone. And it was just crazy because you could tell so obviously that it was from a place of insecurity because she's talking as much shit about herself and her own life and circumstances as she is about other people. And I truly think that when you're in a good place mentally and, you believe in yourself and you are confident, you are going to see the good in other people. You're going to, not see other girls and other women as competition, but rather appreciate them. This also is helpful to keep in mind just as far as not taking things personally goes. Like if someone's just always really rude to you or you just get a bad vibe, it's a lot of the times because they're jealous or they're insecure themselves. It's not something you need to take personally. This is another really important habit that you need to break. It's not cute, especially as you get older. It makes you look bitter and jealous and insecure, especially if your life is also not going the way that you want it. Like, okay, then why are you spending all this time talking about other people's problems? Like, babe, the work is cut out for you. Like, you just need to face it. And it's a hard thing to do. It's definitely a hard thing to face yourself and to admit to yourself, like, I want to change. I'm not okay with how my life or how I am right now. But that is the first step into creating a better life. So this also goes into not speaking negatively about yourself and your life. I truly believe that there is so much power in words. I don't necessarily consciously believe this, but I just feel like I'm proven that it's real time and time again. Like when you say something and then it manifests. Like I could be like, oh, I really hope I'm not late. And then like something comes up, like the train's delayed or this or that. So sometimes it's like, silly things, but if you are consistently putting yourself down, if you don't know how to take a compliment, this is also a habit that you need to break. I think it really comes down to asking yourself, how would my ideal self feel about herself? How would she feel about her life? How would she speak about herself, her life? How would she speak about other people? How would she feel about other people? What would her confidence levels be like? And try to incorporate that into your life now, present day, as much as possible, because that's truly how we change. You know, it starts from within. And it truly starts with being authentic and being able to look at yourself in the mirror and be honest with yourself about what you're doing that is no longer beneficial to you. It's also really important to not assume that the worst is going to happen. So one of the biggest things that has helped me with that, there was this specific meditation on YouTube. It's no longer up. I don't know if they took it down, but he basically just walked you through this visualization, manifestation meditation where you were to, you know, lay down and imagine this light shining through the top of your head and just kind of filling all of your body with this like golden warm light. And for me at the time, this was probably like in 2018 that I was listening to that a lot and practicing it. It kind of walked you through how to conjure up the feelings of gratitude, fulfillment, optimism, feeling just grounded and content and good. And that just really stuck with me because I think that's such a huge part of manifestation. And especially when you are kind of in a place in life where you're wanting to change things up and you're wanting to get, you know, back on track or even like just create a new track for yourself, period. It's really important to be able to remind yourself that you can feel differently, you know, because when you're in a dark place or when you're just really unsatisfied with your life, sometimes it can be hard to even remember what it felt like to feel good, optimistic, and just content, you know, among other things. So a meditation like that where they're really walking you through like, okay, it feels warm, like you feel like there's light coming through. It can be so helpful because if you're not feeling that, you know, it's like, how do I feel that? And it's like, sometimes you do a tip and trick, like take a walk or go outside and maybe you do feel better, but just to have that like 10, 20 minute concentrated, you know, walk through where you're feeling like that, it really helps. Meditation is just so great, but specifically looking up guided meditations for manifestation, for feeling good, for gratitude, you know, all of these things are really going to help when you're trying to realign your energy. So another thing that the nostalgic girlies will get it, but, and also I think of like Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite, like living in the past, living in the glory days, and looking at the past as like, you know, the golden era, or like things were so much better back then. Kind of feel sad now because your life's not like that. But the truth was that was the present at the time. And while there's definitely, you know, periods of life, I'm sure we all have, you know, where these times were better than those times, and like these are good memories, I don't really like these memories, but all we ever have is the present. And when you live too much in the past, it definitely takes you away from the present and creating, you know, your new era. Like you could be living in the golden era or the glory days right now, and maybe you're not even realizing because you're stuck on 2016. You know, sometimes a good little nostalgia sesh is definitely healthy, like reading your old journals or just looking at old photos, thinking about the past, but kind of reframing your mindset like, okay, I have experienced good before, I can experience it again. I can experience even better because I have more life experience now. I'm older, I'm wiser, and I trust myself more. And that's the energy we're going to take moving forward, instead of like, oh, I'm washed up, I'm old at the age of like, insert age that's not old, or like, you know, like as long as you're alive, you have time. Our perception of what is like really great and enjoyable, I think changes as we just get older and experience life. So it's like there's always good things to look forward to and to come. Something we are not going to do because it is holding us back is using all of our free time to just scroll rather than to create, to read, to recharge. It was kind of shocking to see how many people were, I mean, it wasn't shocking, but just how many people were freaking out over the less than 24-hour TikTok ban, TikTok not being available. Totally get, you know, people who had platforms on there and like communities, having that taken away from you is definitely hard, but just people who missed scrolling and like seeing some posts where it's like, where do I like scroll now? It's like, where do I look for recipes? Babe, it's a whole internet. Like, have you heard of a cookbook? You know, social media is definitely a tool. I think TikTok can be a great tool, but at a certain point, we need to, you know, use our brains, keep it a little old school sometimes. And as far as just actually being able to recharge and, you know, create, which those those can sometimes overlap, but also, they're different. These things are so essential to our mental well-being and our overall quality of life. And scrolling kind of gives us a temporary numbness or relief. We temporarily regulate our nervous system, but ultimately it causes more anxiety long term, less connection, and we're not really in tune with our bodies and ourselves, let alone our communities, people around us, etc. So I'm not saying never scroll, and especially when it comes to nervous system regulation, like we all deserve to kind of just be numb and like not think. And sometimes scrolling is great, but just making sure that that's in balance. And especially if a lot of people can get very caught up in just looking at other people's lives online, whether it's subconscious or consciously in your brain, you're comparing your own life to that. And it's like, it can really lead to higher levels of unfulfillment and just not feeling good about yourself and your own life. So that's definitely something important to keep in mind. I feel like this goes without saying, but being overly invested in celebrity drama, everyone has their guilty pleasures. I love old seasons of Real Housewives, but when people are just like so overly invested in this, like, I don't know, just dumb stuff, it's like, you're not focusing on yourself enough. I swear, I don't know. This is also a very obvious one, but drinking too much, partying too much, staying out late, being out too much. Some of y'all don't want to hear it, but it must be said. It is actually shocking. And we're getting older, y'all. The hangovers hit different. And I physically feel how my brain just does not function as well, even after just a drink, like a couple drinks. And something I really realized over this past summer is that a lot of times going out is a waste of time. Like, it never really leads to anything. Wasting time being hungover, wasting time, I don't know. So I'm not saying that you should never go out. I think some of that also is just being social and it's fun to get cute. It's fun to see your friends and whatever. I'm not against it, but if that's your only source of being social or getting out of the house, I think that's when it kind of becomes a problem. And if you are binge drinking every weekend, it's kind of crazy how normalized that is. And it's really not good for you, babes. And also just sleep quality is so important, again, especially as we get older and especially as women. Again, I'm not saying never go out or never drink. Don't make it an every weekend thing. Don't go out binge drinking just because that's what you're used to doing or that's what your friends do. Even just cutting back changes so much. If you are looking to kind of level up and build towards this next era and next level of your life, I would definitely start with that. There's a quote by Tony Robbins that goes, "Energy flows where attention goes." And I think this is so true. To get what you really want in life, you need a clear goal that has purpose and meaning behind it. Once this is in place, you can focus your energy on the goal and become obsessive about it. When you learn how to focus your energy, amazing things happen. So I want to go into a few ways on how you can do this and how, practically speaking, you can level up. So now we're kind of going back to okay, what can we incorporate more of into our lives to become the upgraded versions of ourselves, to, create a better future and life for ourselves, and to ultimately live the life that is most aligned with our true highest forms of self. So what I would do is first write a list of the most important things to you in your life. Brene Brown actually has this values worksheet. But what I like to do, whether or not you use that values list or just make your own list of things that are important to you in your life, is you narrow it down to the top 4. So this could be things like family, freedom, creativity, and then out of those top 3 or 4, you're going to write 3 things that you can do to either improve that quality, strengthen it, incorporate more of it into your life. So for example, if family is really important to you, one of the things you could write down is okay, we're going to schedule a weekly dinner or a monthly dinner or a weekly FaceTime call. If peace is really important to you, you could do something like, I'm going to do yoga for an hour each week, or Sunday is going to be my reset day. And then y'all know I love a list. I would come up with a list of non-negotiables for each day. And these things are going to kind of tie in all of your values or the most important things to you together. So it could be things like, I'm going to always go to bed with a clean kitchen or a tidy home. I'm going to make my bed every morning. I'm going to make sure I get this many steps per day. I drink this much water. And I would say don't make this list too extensive because you want it to be manageable and you want to imagine yourself like on a tough day where you're just feeling unmotivated or tired, like I will still be able to kind of encourage myself to do these things. I also think it's really important to have a rest day. So I know that's Sunday for a lot of people, but depending on your schedule, choose a day out of the week that works for you. And this does not have to be a complete like bed rotting day, but just a day where you kind of check in with yourself, where you do a review of the past week, where you do some journaling, maybe a meditation. I also like to clean my home on this day and just kind of do like domestic things that are like self-care. Maybe go get a coffee or like a breakfast, show yourself some gratitude, allow yourself to rest, and like truly just kind of chill and check in with yourself. Mindfulness is also so important to practice, and it is a lot easier to do this when you do have a regular meditation practice, because you can catch yourself more easily when you are being mindful and when you are being present. You can catch yourself when you're slipping back into those old unhealthy habits, whether it's you start to gossip about somebody else, or you realize you're talking a little negatively about yourself, or maybe your thoughts are kind of spiraling. So this is when therapy can be helpful, because you have someone to kind of be that for you and kind of call you out on it, or just point out to you like, hey, you're doing that thing again. And then the last thing I would recommend is just a declutter. And I think that is also so important for the beginning of the year. I did that. I feel like I already need to do that again. So do this with your physical home, with your house, with your room, but also with your phone, with photos, with apps you don't use, with like your notes app. Declutter, delete stuff, and just kind of allow room for new opportunities, new memories, and things that are just more aligned with this current version of yourself, because you are already it. Like if you want to change and you feel within yourself like, I don't want this anymore, like I see this for myself, or I just need to go in a new direction even if I don't know what it is yet, you are already on the road to becoming that person. So that's where the self-trust comes in, because you need to trust that that instinct is correct and that you need to follow that and allow yourself the space, the time, the freedom to go on this new road and just become the best version of yourself. So much of why people don't achieve what they want to achieve and just do what they want to do is because of self-limiting beliefs, and like not believing that you're going to be able to do something, not being able to believe that you deserve it. So when you can truly trust yourself and align yourself with what it is that you truly want and who you want to be, it will happen, period. So I would love to hear your thoughts on any of this, on maybe some unhealthy habits that you let go of, on what kind of self-care things that you do throughout the week, whether it's weekly or even your non-negotiables for each day, that help you to stay on track. Thank you guys so much for listening and watching. New episodes every Thursday, so definitely make sure to follow. Subscribe to me on YouTube, and I will talk to you guys next week. Bye, everyone.